the corporate sector is also having so many opportunities, cyber crime, white collar crimes. As the previous speakers, she said that International Court of Justice, even in United Nations, you have good in law, environment law, the NGT, National Green Tribunal. I think there's a tremendous opportunity. And I'm sure with Rahul and Karat Saab, and he has got an excellent team. I'm also very happy when I was going through the speaker list. I think they were par excellence. And I've been discussing with Lalit Basinji. He is also so much involved, being a Supreme Court lawyer, being a chairman of a Bar Council Association. I think there's a real tremendous opportunity. I've already spoken to some of the law firms. I think they will be too happy when the students pass and they become lawyers, and they will have tremendous opportunity to work in these law firms. And I will not take much of your time because there are so many dignitaries who are already, I would like to listen to them because I am not a lawyer. I have not been in, any law firm, but it was very nice of Mr. Rahul and Karat Saab to give me this opportunity. I wish this seminar a tremendous success, and I've been that program head and principal. They are also really doing their coordination is excellent. With this, I pray God that peace, what Karat Saab was saying, world peace. I'm sure the lawyers also will contribute to the world peace, because once the laws are framed and they are implemented properly, I'm sure there will be a world peace. Thank you very much. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rupani. I just want to express my gratitude, and while establishing this very prestigious law school, I remember your efforts to form the governing board, and we conducted almost 3 meetings in Mumbai so far of the various eminent lawyers and our advisory board of the School of Law. Thank you so much for your efforts, and today you supported also to build this very prestigious second international symposium on law and peace. Thank you, Mr. Rupani.
Thank you very much.
I'm committed to you, Rahulji, and anything for you, anything for law school, you can always count on me. It will be my pleasure to do anything. Thanks a lot, and you are really doing a wonderful work. I'm sure you will take it to the next level. I'm very, very confident. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shri Nanik Rupani ji. Thank you very much for your kind words. And now it's time when I invite the chief guest of honor of this session, Justice L. Narasimha Reddy ji, to address the gathering. But before that, I request my technical team to kindly relay a small film.
Justice L. Narasimha Reddy is former Chief Justice at Patna High Court and former Chairperson at Central Administrative Tribunal. He completed BSc degree course in the CKM College, Warangal. He obtained bachelor's as well as master's degree in international law from Osmania University, Hyderabad. He was enrolled with the Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh in February 1979 and joined the office of Sri P. Babul Reddy. He remained there till December 1983 when Sri Babul Reddy gave up the practice. He started practicing independently in January 1984. Functioned as part-time lecturer in Postgraduate College of Law, Osmania University, Hyderabad. He served for about 1.5 years. He was appointed as Standing Counsel for Osmania University in 1985. He has been elected as the Secretary of the Andhra Pradesh High Court Advocates Association in the year 1988 to 89 and 1989 to 90. He was appointed as Government Pleader for Higher Education in the High Court of Andhra Pradesh in 1996. Was also Standing Counsel for the Warangal District Corporation as Central Bank and as the Senior Central Government Standing Counsel by the Government of India in the High Court of Andhra Pradesh in July 2000. and held that office till elevation as Judge of the High Court of Andhra Pradesh on 10th September 2001. He was appointed as the Executive Chairman of Andhra Pradesh State Legal Services Authority in June 2014 and as the Chief Justice of Patna High Court and assumed charge as such on the 2nd of January 2015. We warmly welcome Justice L. Narasimha Reddy.
With a big round of applause, my friends, Justice L. Narasimha Reddy ji.
Today's chief guest, Sri Veerappa Moili ji, a distinguished not only politician, but also I read him as a jurist also, for his phenomenal knowledge in the field of law. He's a writer, a rare brand of leader whom we find nowadays. Sri Vishwanath Karajji, the source of power behind these gigantic institutions, his worthy son Sri Rahul ji, Honorable Justice Jnanasudha Mishra ji, Justice Ashok Pitambar Mangle ji, Malhotra ji, other distinguished persons on the dais. I am only referring to them in general to save time. Distinguished faculty of this law college, dear students, good morning to all of you. I feel honored in having been invited to speak in a great symposium like this. The topic chosen is also somewhat typical. At the first blush, one may wonder as to how law and peace are related to each other. Normally, peace is discussed in juxtaposition to war or other disturbance. But a close analysis of these two would reveal that law had a greater and immediate concern or connection with peace. Any society, or for that matter, country or world, can progress or flourish only when peace exists. And the biggest threat to peace is the discord and the dissension among the persons, or their inability to accommodate the other's point of view. It is only through law that an effective and enduring reconciliation of conflicting interests can be brought about, and through that, peace can be ensured. Now, before we speak about law, it is better to have an idea, or at least a brief idea, as to what is justice. The reason is that justice is a wider and a larger concept, of which law happens to be an offshoot. Now, it is only to achieve justice that law is enforced, and as regards justice, there were several contributions both by Western jurists and Indian jurists. The Western jurists like Cicero, Aristotle, and Saint Thomas Aquinas, so on and so forth, they defined or described justice as a phenomenon whereunder an individual is extended or given what is due to him. There are some semantic changes between their individual concepts, but the general theme is this. Now, once a person is extended what is due to him, his dissatisfaction or dissension, which may in turn translate into some threat to peace, is avoided. So that is the noble concept of justice. But there we find some open-ended concept, in the sense, if you say what is due to him, who should decide what is due, how much is due, when, at what point of time? Because circumstances are not going to remain the same. They keep on changing. They have to be redefined. and every individual is not on the same plane. They have to be those differences have to be taken into account while deciding what is due. It is here that our ancient Indian jurists have provided some nearer solution. There are several treatises on this, Nyayadarshini, Nyaya Ratnakara, by great jurists like Jayanta Bhatt, Kumarla Bhatt, and so on. Without going deep into that, we can say I will come to the summing up of these concepts by Gautama and Akshapada. They said the concept of justice involves in 4 or 5 steps. The first step is to determine pramana. Pramana is there may be some resources available in a society, and how to define the requirement of each individual or each section of society. The resources can be tangible or intangible. Then comes, once that is done, once pramana is decided, prameya. Every individual is not on the same plane. Therefore, prameya is the person who is entitled. What is his entitlement? Depending upon his age, sex, whatever it is. There may be that dispassionate determination of prameya. And then vada. Vada is, it should be open to discussion. If some learned people have determined those 2 things, there should be open discussion about that. And once that is done, we can also, the anvaya, it is adopted, and then comes the concept of justice, nyaya. It is also kept open for adoption of the other's point of view, anyamata, anveshana. Not mata is not religion, all that, but viewpoints. This is broadly the justice. And this is relatively constant. It is not prone to change. An offshoot or the process or the means to achieve justice is law. Law, being students of law, you are all aware, has 3 principal sources, that is legislation, custom, and through judgments. Now, whatever be the source of law, its aim is to ensure that the conflicts in the society are not permitted to remain. That can be in the form of civil law, whereunder the rights, both tangible or intangible rights, are determined, be it in the form of succession, transfer, contract, and so on. Then penal law, that if a person has committed something wrong, how to put an end to that in a civilized manner. Otherwise, if a crime has taken place, the natural reaction is to meet with the same amount of force, which in turn will be a serious threat to peace. So whether it is criminal law or civil law, their objective is only to ensure that it does not lead to threat to peace. So whatever be the source of law, in a democratic form of country, it is predominantly by legislation, and in other forms, it can be customs, and many a time wherever effective judiciary exists, sometimes it can be through the form of judgments also. Now, whatever be the source of law, it becomes acceptable, it becomes successful, or an effective tool to maintain peace or to ensure that the peace and tranquility remains in the society, if only it becomes by and large acceptable to the subjects, that is people. Now, we cannot expect everyone to fall in line, but by and large, it should be acceptable, and then only it can achieve the above object. Now, when it becomes acceptable, there are 2 conflicting things. If it is required to be acceptable to everyone, sometimes it may become futile also. There may not be any plausible purpose. It is only when some inequalities remain or some conflicts are contemplated that the necessity to frame law arises. Therefore, even while ensuring that the unevenness in the society is removed, But at the same time, the acceptability also must be ensured. This is a very tough and job. At the same time, balancing act needs to be performed. Now, the law on its part has a role to play in maintenance of peace, but that is not all. A corresponding obligation lies with the people to respect law. If, as I said earlier, there cannot be any law which is acceptable to everyone in the society. Take, for instance, the sealing law in land sealing. It imposes certain limits for holding of land. Naturally, the person who holds the land in excess of ceiling limit has to surrender it. He has got his own grievance. But once he is convinced, once he is made to realize that there are other persons who are languishing in poverty without any resource whatever, and whatever this gentleman sacrifices will be a source of livelihood for others, then there may be an effective way of implementing law, and thereby tranquility can be ensured and peace can be promoted. Now, it is heavy burden lies upon the rulers or the governments to ensure that the people are made to understand the concept of law and follow the principle of law. Then only it becomes an effective tool. For that purpose, the people have to be trained very much. I may here recall the culture that this institution promotes. Wherever you have seen, nowadays we find modern education means it is completely an antithesis to Indian culture or our spiritual values. But in contrast, we are seeing everywhere a flavor of spirituality, and thereby it is not casting anything into the people's wisdom. It is promoting, it is doubling. So if this type of thinking grows, the readiness to accept somebody's welfare. Once justice is something which is aimed at ensuring what somebody gets. It is very much there in our very Indian way of thinking. I did not intend to draw much because I am also waiting to hear what our learned chief guest is going to speak. I can only end by saying that whether through process of law or any other means, peace can be ensured if only each individual aims at the welfare of others. That principle was there very much in our culture. Sarve bhavantu sukinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. If everybody thinks about the welfare of others, then it involves first, if necessary, any sacrifice by the person who is aiming it and extending help to the needy. If that is done, the tranquility can be taken to be existing there. I am confident that the very idea of an institution like this holding a symposium to synthesize and synchronize law with peace is a great effort, and it should be an ideal to be emulated and adopted by similar institutions. And as and how these instances of these discussions widen and spread, the peace naturally can be achieved, and it cannot be within the society alone. It can even be taken to the international levels also. I thank all of you for listening to whatever I have said, and the great institution for providing me this opportunity to speak on this occasion. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Justice L. Narasimha Reddy ji. Thank you very much for your kind words and guiding our students, those who are going to carry the baton in future. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite the next special guest of honor of this session, Justice Shri Ashok Pitambar Bhangre ji. But before I invite him to address the gathering, I request my technical team to kindly relay a small film made on life and work of Justice Shri Ashok Pitambar Bhangre ji.
Justice Ashok Pitambar Bhangare is the President of State Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, Maharashtra, and the former Judge of Bombay High Court. He worked as an assistant government pleader and additional public prosecutor from June 1986 till joining the judiciary. He also served as a chairman of the Motor Accident Claim Tribunal and the State Transport Appellate Tribunal at Mumbai from May 2006 till September 2006. He was appointed as a Principal Secretary and RLA, Law and Judiciary Department, State of Maharashtra, and served as such from 26 September 2006 to 4th May 2007. He was appointed as a Principal Judge of the Bombay City Civil and Sessions Court from May 2007 till his elevation as a Judge of the Bombay High Court. He also served as a chairman of the Brihan Mumbai District Legal Service Authority. He was elevated to Bombay High Court on 16th May 2008. We warmly welcome Justice Ashok Pitambar Bhangare.
With a big round of applause, Justice Shri Ashok Pitambar Bhangare ji.
Honorable former Law Minister Shri Veerappa Moily ji, our sister Judge Gyanasudha ji, Justice Narsimha Reddy, other dignitaries on the dais representing Bar Council of India and government, and professors sitting on the dais, Dr. Vishwanath Karad ji, Dr. Rahul Karad ji. I am really happy to associate myself with this inaugural function on the subject of world peace and law. It is really a novel subject and reflect upon a great vision of Dr. Vishwanath Karad for pondering over the burning topics as well as trying to find solutions to various problems which we are facing at present. We know that world is now faced with danger of possibility of third world war. We often read and see that the conflict is going on between Russia and Ukraine, as well as there is past history of conflicts between India, Pakistan, and India and China. We have also other conflicts like Israel and Palestine and Saudi Arabia. So, Dr. Vishwanath Karad must be congratulated for initiating the idea to hold this second symposium on world peace and law. Law, as we know, is an instrument of change, instrument of revolution. And whenever there are problems, the law has to solve it, bearing in mind the basic structure of the Constitution of India, that is justice, equality, liberty, and fraternity. We are all aware of our fundamental rights and how we can implement them, enforce them through the machinery of law. Article 32, which is used by Honorable Supreme Court of India to do justice in extraordinary circumstances. We have Article 226 and 227 when High Court can decide cases which are brought before them by way of writ petitions and constitutional remedies. In a lower courts, we know that whenever any dispute takes place between the parties, the court on the lowest ladder has to be approached. On criminal side, there are magistrates. On civil side, there are civil judges. We have to ponder over all this machinery of law in the light of possibilities which may arise in future. As I told you about the possibility of Third World War, what is our responsibility is to discuss the various problems which we are facing and create a substance of discussion which can be sent to United Nations, International Court of Justice, as well as other international bodies which can be handy for maintenance of peace and harmony, not only in India but in the entire world. We will play a great role of importance if we discuss these problems in the light of possibility of danger. We know that in India we are facing many problems. Fortunately for us, we have a stable government led by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, and we have in majority of states, Bharatiya Janata Party is a forming government. Considering the vibrant democracy, we do need a powerful opposition, and we also see that yesterday in Himachal Pradesh, Congress Party is virtually will form government, while in Gujarat, Bharatiya Janata Party will form government. I am not belonging to any political party, but I am always happy when I see that there are instances of vibrant democracy and people have their role to play. The main basic problems which India is facing is about the poverty. Therefore, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had declared Garibi Hatao. So poverty has to be removed by various measures. Although she was criticized for bringing emergency, she had a great role to play as leader of India when she fought that important war of independence of Bangladesh. That was important for creating a peace and harmony in the world, and to see that democracy initiated by Dr. Vishwanath Karad, in my opinion, is nothing short of miracle, which is initiated by a spiritually oriented person to consider the various burning problems and also trying to find solutions to those problems. When we see the burning problem of poverty, I always feel, and speaking to myself, that there are many poor students in India, and we need to uplift them by helping them with free and affordable education. That is need of the time. And once a person is educated well, he is obtaining his degree in any chosen field, that person must get a remunerative employment or opportunity of employment so that such person can shine in life, because poverty is the main reason for even commission of crimes in society. And if we want to prevent crimes in society, we have to consider that every person is afforded an opportunity to get free, or if not free, affordable education so that he can come up in life, and thereafter such person must also get the proper remunerative employment to live a peaceful and comfortable life. These are the basic things which are required for to maintain peace in the society and to prevent crimes as well as to prevent poverty in the society. We know that present government has taken certain measures to uplift poor people and to help them with depositing certain amounts in the accounts of farmers, which are known as Janadhan accounts. So that is one social measure which has been adopted. But even that, I think, is a short measure, and much is needed to be done to uplift the citizens in the society. We do have differences on the ground of religion, caste, etc. But all those differences will have to be eliminated. Fortunately, in the today's world, we often see that now a lot of intercaste and interreligious marriages are coming up. Many people have married even internationally. So this is a welcome change in the present society, and that change will do a lot of good things in the society. We have to live together peacefully and allow others to live peacefully. Entire nation must come up and stand with other nations in the world to consider that the world peace has to be maintained at any cost. I would also refer to natural justice principle, that wherever there is any international dispute, the aggrieved country must get full opportunity of hearing from International Court of Justice. And after giving such opportunity of hearing, when any decision is given, that has to be binding on the nation concerns. If we live together, act together, and consider the common good of all the nations, time is not far off when dream of founder of this institution will come true. Dr. Vishwanath Karad, when I entered in his office in the morning, I felt like entering into a temple, and with that emotions, I am really happy that your institute is in safer and proper hands, and Dr. Rahul Karad will take it to new heights. I wish you all the best in your endeavor. I also wish success to this seminar and desire that whatever is the substance of debate which you have which are taking place in these 2 days shall be exhibited online and shall be sent to United Nations to see that the substance is considered by all the nations together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Justice Shri Ashok Pitambar Bhangaji. Thank you very much for your words of wisdom. Thank you. Thank you very much. My friends, the path towards attainment of peace is always full of hurdles. However, the legal deliberations can act as an important scaffolding for the construction of peaceful culture. Here, we have a person present among us who spent more than a decade of his life in creating a monument which is dedicated to world peace. A monument which stands as a symbol that we all must stand together and fight for world peace. Otherwise, we all would perish together. It is time when I invite revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karaj sir to address the gathering. But before that, I would like to request my technical team to take us through a small film which is created on the marvel of world peace.
I appeal to the Vice President and Honorable Chief Minister to recognize this World Peace Dome as a structure of national and global importance and support to promote it in such a way that it evolves as one of the prominent tourism destinations of the world.
21वीं शताब्दी में मेरी भारत माता विश्व गुरु बनने की काबिलियत रखता है. It will become a Vishwa Guru in the 21st century. उसका छोटा सा उदाहरण, छोटा सा सिंबल यहाँ बन गया है, ऐसा मेरा मानना है.
Please put your hands together and welcome with a huge round of applause the founder and chief patron of MITES MIT Pune and the president of MIT World Peace University, the creator of Philosopher Century Gyaneshwara World Peace Prayer Hall, the UNESCO chairholder, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karaj sir.
Friends, it truly fills my heart with a sense of pride and pleasure when I stand before you on this very auspicious occasion of this unique symposium or an international conference on the very unique subject of law and peace. It has a very deep-rooted meaning which possibly you are going to deliberate and discuss and think ourselves what is the pathway to be chosen. And what a good fortune, friends. Normally such a gathering is never seen on the stage. Dr. Mr. Veerappa Moily Sahab, जो स्वयं लॉ मिनिस्टर रहे भारत के, various other subjects he has dealt with. But more importantly, in the morning when I learned, he has been writing a number of books in the field of law. और जब मैंने उनसे सुना कि न्याय शास्त्र पर किताब लिखा जा रहा है, उसके लिए उनके तालियां बजाकर उनका स्वागत करें भाई. बहुत सी लंबी बातें हैं, very scholarly, with a deep-rooted thinking of what Mother India stands for. सारे जितने भी मेहमान हैं, हमारी बहन जस्टिस ज्ञान सुधा मिश्रा जी, जस्टिस अशोक पीताम्बर जी, नरसिम्हा रेड्डी साहब, आयुष अग्रवाल जी, Chitnis and other friends who are sitting on the dais. Friends, you are very lucky possibly that you are going to have a chance to listen to the words of wisdom through these great men. You have heard some of them just before. But more importantly, possibly you may get a very wonderful advice. What these two words they mean: law and justice. I still remember one of my friends, when we were discussing on this, we had some fortune of organizing some such conferences, even though we are not running any law college. विषय ऐसे था कि कोई भी देश, any country for that matter in the whole world, how and what way the law should be framed and passed. यहाँ member बैठे हैं बहुत बड़े, but it was said that the rule of law, I'm not a lawyer, but I do understand the essence and philosophy behind. The rule of law of any nation in the world, must run close to the rule of life of the people. And the rule of the life of the people, which we make it ourselves. Every one of us is a lawyer for himself. And he decides what way we should live our life. जिंदगी कैसी बसर करनी है, क्या करना है और क्या नहीं करना है. So it is said that the rule of law must run close to the rule of life of the people, but the rule of life of the people, which we make it ourselves, must run close to the rule of Mother Nature. निसर्ग तत्व है, which demands a certain way for your behavior. We have just got printed about 1,25,000 copies of the Bhagavad Gita. I am not advocating Hinduism, but whether it is Bhagavad Gita or Holy Quran or Holy Bible, Holy Tripitak, you take all the names. What do they speak about? They speak about one important law of nature, law of the universe, which does not change. It must run in a certain way and speaks finally one word. वसुधैव कुटुंबकम is the outcome, one. और दूसरी बात है कि this particular way, advocated and preached through the various religious scriptures, they speak that the truth is one and only one. This is a rule, and it cannot have any differentiation. So many things are being discussed in this very university, not only the law, but engineering, medicine, management, pharmacy, whatever names you take. And we have been having a certain rules and regulations too. And when we got this printed, about 125,000 books, I want you to go through it. It does not speak a single word of Hinduism. First, Quran, Holy Quran, अपने ही धर्म की बात नहीं करता. What is religion? I think my friend spoke, Mr. Reddy or somebody. धर्म क्या है भाई? धर्म religion की बात है. Religion is nothing but to perform your duty. तुम्हारा फर्ज. And this has been the word spoken by Swami Vivekananda in the year 1893, in the first World Parliament of Religions. And when he says that, friends, remember, after how many years, he makes also a statement of that time, but he says, friends, remember, union of science and religion / spirituality alone will help to bring harmony and peace to mankind. और ये mankind की बात करते वक्त अपने मन को शांति है क्या? पूछो. Whenever I have been trying to talk on this issue, I never wanted to be an engineer myself, but I became an engineer, became a teacher, started MIT, and speaking about peace. लोगों ने पूछा मुझे कि कराड़ सर, हमेशा आप बात करते वर्ल्ड पीस की, आपके मन को शांति है क्या? People have been asking me, आपके दिल को, आपके मन को, आत्मा की बात है, उसमें शांति है क्या? And some people in America, I had a fortune of going for some address. They asked me कि आपको इसकी जानकारी है क्या? And what is the chemistry of mind? ऐसा पूछा था. Chemistry of mind. क्या है तुम्हारे मन की केमिस्ट्री क्या है? तुम्हारी आत्मा क्या बोलती है? मन की बात एक है, आत्मा की बात अलग है थोड़ी सी. And friends, remember I had to say, sorry friends, but truly, still today, मन को शांति नहीं है. घर में शांति है, संस्था में है, आपस में है, पति पत्नी में है, बहुत से सवाल है. But this has been the real, the true fact which we experience normally. On this background, I don't want to elaborate much, but friends, it was in the year 1897 when the great noble son of India, again Swami Vivekananda, while addressing another meeting in America, he had made a forecast and he told the world to remember that 1897, ध्यान में रखो. He said, after 50 years from today onwards, my mother India, not with ego, गर्व नहीं, गर्व हो, स्वार्थ हो तो बिगड़ जाती है बात. But he said, after 50 years from today, my mother India, मेरी भारत माता, गर्व से नहीं, स्वाभिमान से, will become free from the clutches of the British. Forecast है. And will show the harmony and peace to the mankind. दुनिया को रास्ता दिखाएगी शांति का, सुख समाधान का. कैसी बात है देखो, 1897 add 50, it comes to 1947. It's a forecast, it's a vision, an insight and a vision, two aspects of life. Remember friends, when he said this, he had forecasted one more thing. And he told the world, I am speaking, only trying to copy his words. I am not the originator of understanding all these deep-rooted meanings. But he had told us, your own brother, that in the century of 2122, अभी की बात है, जब उन्होंने पहला उच्चारण किया, to remember union of science and religion oblique spirituality alone will help to bring harmony and peace to mankind. ये तुम्हारे लिए नहीं चल रहा है, समाज के लिए, देश के लिए, दुनिया के लिए. And he had used one more word. He said, my mother India will emerge as a knowledge god of the whole world. ज्ञान क्या है भाई? विज्ञान क्या है? समझने की कोशिश तो करो. Body and the brain, one aspect. हर एक smallest of the small living cell, जिसे अमीबा बोलो, a living cell बोलो, any of the living cell. He says, remember, it has a body and it has the brain, smallest of the small animal or insect. But it has also the soul and the mind. But in our educational institutions, we have neglected, unfortunately. I don't blame everybody. It is MIT, Boston, Harvard, Cambridge, any university from Japan or Tokyo or India or MIT World Peace University की बात हो. We have comparatively neglected the other aspect of the soul and the mind. पढ़ाई नहीं होती भाई. मन की बात राजनीति में हो सकती है, लेकिन स्कूल में या कॉलेज में क्या है भाई तुम्हारा? हाउ टू कंट्रोल द माइंड. चित्त वृत्ति निरोधा, ऐसा वो ना योगा का एक वचन है पतंजलि का. सोचो तो सही. एंड पॉसिबली इवन दो यू आर ऑल पीपल ऑफ लॉ, जुडिशरी, टुमारो आप यहाँ बैठ सकते हैं भाई ये बड़े बड़े लोगों के साथ, लेकिन कब और कैसे होगा ये? तो अपने मन की वृत्ति जो है बदलने की कोशिश करना जरूरी होता है. ये परिषद या ये कॉन्क्लेव जो बना है, आई रियली, हु इज द डीन? डीन कौन है? चतुर्वेदी. थैंक यू. Witness to you also. This is a very unique meeting or a conference for 2 days. Possibly, friends, don't think that, as I told you, that I am not the lawyer, I am not in that way an engineer, but I have been very passionately involved in promoting this culture of peace. Culture of peace in the society, the nation and the whole world. And you know, on the background of this coronavirus or the COVID-19, where are the Security Council members sitting? कहाँ बैठे भाई? घर के अंदर बैठ के भाई? The whole world was locked down. क्या कौन सा लॉ है ये? कौन सा कानून है ये जिसने सारी दुनिया को दरवाजे के अंदर बंद कर दिया? And possibly, I don't want to elaborate much, but being an engineer, I can make a statement that the journey is very far off. Space and time का बात है तो बड़ी लंबी कहानी है. हमारे संत ज्ञानेश्वर टू अल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन ये प्रयास है वो. What is the statement by Sant Jnaneshwara? At the age of 16, उम्र क्या है? 16 साल की उम्र है भाई. तुम्हारा भाई है वो, 730 साल हुए. And he makes a statement, very scientific, logical, philosophical, and completely lawful. Very scientific, spiritually oriented scientific laboratory की बात है. अभी डोम दिखाया तुमको. What is this dome? I was not knowing that this is going to be the biggest dome in the whole world, in the known human history. After some time, one of my students pointed out to me, sir, ये तो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा है, लेकिन बिल्डिंग बड़ी होने से मजा नहीं. बिल्डिंग का प्रिंसिपल क्या है, कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है? And the concept has been found to be spiritually oriented scientific laboratory. साइंटिफिक है पहले, लेकिन स्पिरिचुअल ओरिएंटेशन है उसको. व्हाट इज स्पिरिचुअलिटी? अध्यात्म क्या है भाई? अध्यात्म यानी अंधश्रद्धा नहीं. अध्यात्म शास्त्र है, शास्त्र. इट्स अ यूनिवर्सल साइंस, यूनिवर्सल प्रिंसिपल. इट्स अ लॉ ऑफ नेचर. आई एम सेइंग अ लॉ ऑफ नेचर. सम रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस आर बाउंड बाय द यूनिवर्स इटसेल्फ. बड़ा विस्तार है उसका. लेकिन मुझे खुशी इस बात की है कि दिस डिस्कशन विल एटलीस्ट, फ्रेंड्स, यू आर द वेरी स्मार्ट, capable judges of tomorrow, and many other positions you may occupy, very famous lawyers, judges, the jurists. But remember, friends, how you are molding your own personality. दुनिया क्या बोलती है आपके बारे में? आपके तरफ देखकर दुनिया कहना चाहिए, अरे अच्छा आदमी है, अच्छा जज है, अच्छा मिनिस्टर है, जज भी है. तो ये थोड़ी सी भावना अपने माता पिता के नाम पर थोड़ा सोचना जरूरी होता है, कोई फील हो. सो पीस इज अ वेरी वेरी कॉमन डिनोमिनेटर और अ फैक्टर which is inbuilt in your own personality if you think likewise. और देश को, भारत को, जो मैंने कहा कि इंडिया हैज टुडे अ फंक्शन एंड अ वेरी यूनिक बाइंडिंग ऑन इट, दैट इट शुड डेवलप द होलिस्टिक पीस लविंग ग्लोबल सोसाइटी. ये दायित्व है तुम्हारा मेरा. द वर्ल्ड इज लुकिंग टू यू. आई एम नॉट जोकिंग, बट आई हैड द फॉर्चून ऑफ visiting a number of countries and number of subjects. So little bit of experience, deliberations and discussion with all such great people, I have come to conclusion कि भाई दिशा कौन सी है जीवन की. तो ये दिशा देने का प्रयास आपके जीवन को. लॉयर कितने बड़े हैं छोड़ो, अरे वो तो बहुत खराब आदमी है भाई, झूठ बोलता है. ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें हो सकती है, वो नहीं होना चाहिए. MIT का एनी स्टूडेंट, यू नो, व्हेन आई मीट समवेयर, जिस तरह से माँ बाप को झुकते हैं, प्रणाम करते हैं, अपनी धरती माँ की याद करते हैं, तो नाज लगता है. वाह, ही इज अवर स्टूडेंट, ही इज MIT स्टूडेंट. तुम्हारे माँ बाप का घराना होता है, तुम्हारे माँ बाप को नाज होना आप पे. अच्छा बन गया बे, डिबॉचरस नहीं बना. तो ये छोटी छोटी बातें इसके पीछे मेरे ख्याल से. आई हैव अ स्मॉल बुकलेट विच वाज इन सॉल्ट लेक सिटी. दिस इज आल्सो ए पार्लियामेंट ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिलीजन्स. इसमें एक छोटी सी बात है. I'll just read about 5 lines and stop my deliberation. Friends, it is said fellowship. ये fellowship है भाई. We are the birds of the same nest. We may wear different skins. We may speak different tongues. We may believe in different religions. Friends, we may belong to different cultures. Yet, we share the same home, the Mother Earth. Born on the same planet, covered by the same skies, gazing at the same stars, breathing the same air, we must learn to progress together or miserably perish together. For a person can live individually, but can only survive collectively. ये मेरी भाषा नहीं, ये अथर्ववेद का कोटेशन है. This was written in 1998. स्विट्जरलैंड में जेनेवा में हमारा परिषद हुआ था, वर्ल्ड पार्लियामेंट, द सेकंड पार्लियामेंट. 95 here in this very hall, we are the first world parliament of science, religion and philosophy. And then second parliament was held in Geneva, Switzerland, when Murli Manoj Joshi ji was there as my chief guest, and Karan Singh Sahab, very great people. Barlinge, who was my teacher, a guide, he was not a believer of God. ईश्वर पे विश्वास नहीं था. जो दुनिया को कोरोना के माध्यम से the world has started believing there is something. There is some invisible power or energy which prevails and which guides us. तो ऐसी ये बात है, तो अथर्ववेद का कोटेशन है, ध्यान में रखिएगा भाई. सीखने का प्रयास है सारी क्षेत्र में. फिर से आप सबको धन्यवाद सर, प्रणाम.
Let's give a big round of applause, my friends, to revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karaj, sir. A big round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your words of wisdom. Thank you very much for guiding the future generation of this country. Thank you very much. And at this very august moment, I would like to bring to everyone's attention that such symposiums, such gatherings are not only for coming together and deliberating for a day or two and then going back to our places, but these are the occasions where we abide ourselves with a common cause, with a common thought. On this note, I would like to request the head of School of Law at MITWPU University, Dr. Purnima Inamdar, Madam, to bind us all with the oath. So for which I would like to request all the students to rise in their seats, everyone in the audience, everyone on the stage, to please rise in your seats. Please put your right hand forward and follow after Dr. Inamdar.
Thank you, Professor Bapat. On the platform of MIT World Peace University's International Symposium on Law and Peace, we, the sons and daughters of Mother Earth, being the global citizens, assured to abide by the duties and responsibilities of an ideal citizen, and hereby affirm that we will endeavor to promote peace and harmony through the lens of law in the pursuit of justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear students and dignitaries on the dais. I request everyone to kindly take the seat, please. And with this, my friends, we have reached the point where I invite the chief guest of this session to address the gathering. I request my technical team to kindly relay a small film made on life and work of the former Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Law and Justice, Government of India, and former Chief Minister of the State of Karnataka, Dr. MITWPU Moili.
Shri M. Virappa Moili was the former Chief Minister and the first ethnic Tuluva Chief Minister of the Indian state of Karnataka. He is currently serving as the All India Congress Committee General Secretary in charge of Andhra Pradesh. He is regarded as one of the senior members of the Congress party and a close advisor for the Congress leader Sonia Gandhi. He is an eminent economist known for his vision in the economic arena and with special objectives of public finance and taxation. He is one of the most widely recognized torchbearers of reforms on taxation and governance in the country. He was elected to Karnataka State Legislative Assembly from Karakaya constituency of Udupi district. From 2009 to 2019, he represented the Chikbalapur constituency in Lok Sabha. He was the former Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Minister of Corporate Affairs, and Minister of Power in the Indian government. He did his BA from Government College, now known as University College, situated at Hampankata in Mangalore city. He completed his BL from University Law College, Bangalore. He was appointed to various committees by Indira Gandhi, one of which led to the setting up of National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, that is NABARD. He also practiced law in the courts of Karakaya, Mangalore, High Court in Bangalore, and at the Supreme Court of India. He led the implementation of economic reforms in Karnataka in 1992 and was responsible for drafting and implementing the Karnataka Land Reforms Act in 1974. Shri Mauri is a literary figure of some note. He has served as a regular columnist for the Hindu and Deccan Herald, both English language newspapers, and for Sanyukta Karnataka, a Kannada newspaper. He has authored Musings on India Part 1 and 2 in English, containing articles on contemporary issues including public finance. We warmly welcome Shri M. Virappa Mouli.
A big round of applause, my friends. The chief guest of this session, Dr. M. Virappa Moili ji.
Friends, I'm in a very difficult position as a last speaker. We have already heard the great Doyen, great pioneer, creator of World Peace Dome in Pune, chief architect of this MIT University, which is called World Peace University, Professor D. Vishwanath D. Karat. When I entered his house, there was a lot of vibration here. Again, when I entered this great premises of the great temple of knowledge, I could again find a lot of vibration with Sant Dhaneshwar, and also the dream, the vision, and the missionary zeal of Dr. Vishwanath. And now, rightly, that legacy is inherited by his dearest son, Rahul Karan. It is very rare to find such children who can carry on the mission and vision of their father. We are all proud of you, sir, proud of your institution, and proud of the platform that you have provided to us, all of us, to speak on law and world peace. This is the second edition of International Symposium on Law and Peace. I'm quite happy to associate with that. We have very great guests here, Justice Jnanasudha Mishra ji, Justice Narsu Reddy ji, Justice Ashok Pitambar ji, and many legal memories and legal luminary like Mr. Malhotra ji. I'm thankful for the platform which is provided to all of us. I must also thank the Dean, the Vice Chancellors of this university. I'm also very proud of all the students here and the faculties here who have been endowed with this opportunity to serve this great platform of the university. You are all privileged. You have taken the oath today, and this platform of Symposium on Law and Peace. I was equally shocked and happy to see the bell of democracy here. I think many of you may remember, Mr. Justice Narsimha Reddy may remember, you must have you entered the Chennai High Court. When you enter the Chennai High Court, there is a statue of, statue of Chola King. Why that statue was installed, do you know? He was a great dispenser of justice, Chola King. Once what happened, a cow came to his darbar, and that darbar has a bell like this. The cow came and pulled it. Then the Chola King came and asked why. Then his escort, the king's escort said, the calf of this cow was killed by your son who was riding a chariot. What is the punishment? The punishment is Chola's king, Chola's son should also mete out same kind of death penalty. I must tell you that having seen that, Justice, Jnana Sudhas is here. I was law minister. There was a brutal murder in Delhi. I don't want to narrate the case. And the news came because the district session judge acquitted the accused. High Court has acquitted. Everybody knew that Supreme Court will also agree with the concurrent judgments. It all appeared in the newspaper that the judgment is on that particular day. In a dinner, I met that particular judge, Supreme Court judge, who was to render judgment on the next day. I just asked him that, I did not speak about the case, madam. I said, as a law minister, we cannot interfere with the dispensation of justice. Did you see the Chola King statue before the High Court building of Chennai, Madras? He said, yes. Have you seen it? Have you heard the story behind it? I narrated the story. This is how Chola King gave an impartial judgment, having the merits of the case in hand, and his son was done to death. I just concluded my story. I never mentioned about the case in hand. After a week, I met the same judge in a dinner again. Then he said, Moili, what have you done to me? I said, what have I done to you? You narrated a story of Chola King? Yes. That was the real story. But do you know what happened? I was about to acquit an accused, but having heard that story, I punished that accused. I'm just telling you, this is the justice. Today it is a very important subject that you are handling. That can come only from the platform of our great veteran pioneer of world peace, great humanist, Dr. Vishwanath Karad. He alone can provide this. And another venture,
which will be started on preparing the legislators for this nation to safeguard the constitution of this nation. It is followed and implemented by his great son, Rahul Karad. A 4th century philosopher of the world, one Libanius, he said, I quote, God did not bestow all products upon all parts of the earth, but distributed his gifts over different regions, to the end that men might cultivate a social relationship, because one would have need of the help of one another. And so God called commerce into being, that all might have common enjoyment of all the fruits of the earth, no matter where produced. This is the seed of world peace. We have to care and share for others, for the entire humanity, entire mankind. So this is the definition of justice one need to follow in his life. From Magna Carta to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, legal texts have been prepared, pronounced, and propagated to bring and perpetuate the world peace. Many things have been said by my former speakers, but cry today in the whole world is about justice and peace. They go together. They cannot be separated. Conception of peace span religions, culture, incorporating such values as security and harmony, as well as justice and human dignity. And, it is not exclusive, it is inclusive of everything. According to the UN Charter, in the preamble itself, it said, I quote, to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war are among the first words of UN Charter. It is in the preamble. Rule of law is fundamental to international peace, security, and political stability. It can save everybody. Rule of law, all of us should be concerned. Without rule of law, I don't think the humanity and the mankind can live together. All of you should become the champions of rule of law. According to the United Nations, the rule of law is a principle of governance in which all persons, institutions, or entities, public and private, including state itself, are accountable to law. The state is not above, judiciary is not above law. It is inclusive of everybody. This is what all of us need to work together to ensure that rule of law. And this is a matter of governance. Maybe a judicial governance, or a government governance, legislative governance, or whatever. There are many facets which I am not going to explain in detail. In fact, establishing the rule of law institutions is vital. I just give one example of North Korea and South Korea. The rule of law is established by the institutions created in those countries. Both North Korea and they belong to the same race, same ethnic groups. No difference. Whereas South Korea, institutions are in place. Governance is in place. Whereas in North Korea, institutions are not in place and governance is not in place. Corollary is that there is no rule of law. That is how the difference between one country and one race also there can be differences. But the peace is something which has to be established. And one need to understand that in a disrupted society, it is rare and unrealistic to find a constitutional framework functioning authoritatively as a guiding principle. New challenges have emerged now. Allowing access to justice is a fundamental right of every citizen of the country. War-related injuries kill 1.25 million people every year. Violence-related offenses. Just imagine how the people are butchered. And in fact, 1 in 61 from war and conflicts, they are killed. Many more are injured, suffer agonies by the disease and many other reasons, by mental health problems. Violence places a massive burden on national economics in healthcare, law enforcement, and lose productivity. These are all the data given by the World Health Organization, not my own. You just imagine the injuries which is done to the entire mankind. One has to address, and if you don't address, you are killing yourself. You are killing the mankind. This is how there should be change of heart, not change of head. Gender-based violence is one of the most frequent forms of structural and cultural violence. According to UNFPA, gender-based violence, I quote, both reflects and reinforces inequities between men and women and compromises the health, dignity, security, and autonomy of its victims. It encompasses a wide range of human rights violations, including sexual abuse of children, rape, domestic violence, and sexual assault and harassment, trafficking of women and girls, several harmful traditional practices. One has to address this. Are we addressing this? It's a day-to-day thing we see around you, in your own family. And if you don't address, how do you think of world peace? Think of domestic peace first. Peace around you, then look at your world scenario. One need to address them. Gender-based violence does not have to be physical. In fact, young people suffer such verbal violence, especially targeted at LGBT people and girls. As per the World Inequality Report of 2022, I am referring to the latest report, India is among the most unequal countries in the world. Can you imagine? India is the most unequal society. Every sector you take, every segment you take, there is inequality everywhere. Affluent allied. Reports highlight that the top 10% and top 1% in India hold 57 and 22% of the total income respectively, while the bottom 50% share has gone down to 13%. The report was authorized by Lucas and Chancellor and coordinated by renowned economists like Thomas Piketty, Emmanuel Saez, Gabriel Lupin. And these are the stark realities you see around the world, and look at our own country. Average national income of the Indian adult population is rupees 2,04,200, wherein the bottom 50% earns rupees 53,610, while the top 10% earns 11,66,520. This is the inequity. We find around, this is our own society. People around you. We see the inequality everywhere. Then where do you find the peace? In the society and with your brethren. Report says that emerging economies like India and China experience faster increases in private wealth than wealthy countries after they transitional away from regulated economies. In India, particularly, private wealth went up from 290% in 1980 to 560% in 2020. Rahul Karad has gone, but these are all the problems which you are, the conference of the legislators should need to address. Address all these segments. Wealth inequality. The average household with wealth in India is around 9,83,010 rupees. The bottom 50% of the nation can be seen to own almost nothing, zero. With an average wealth of 66,280 or 6% of the total pie, middle class is relatively poor in the country. It doesn't happen in other countries. Top 10% own 65% of the total wealth, averaging rupees 63 lakhs 54,070, and the top 1% owns 33%, averaging 3 lakh 24,000 and all. These are all the latest statistics I am referring to. India's share of the world's extreme poor is higher than its share of the world population. We are poorest country. Our people are the poorest. Are you not addressing? If you don't address, where is the peace within and without? The India accounted for 139 million of the total 689 million, that is 20%, 1%, living in extreme poverty in 2017 World Bank report. India accounts for 17.8% of the world population. This shows that India's share of people living in extreme poverty was higher than their share of the total world population. India's economy experienced the largest annual contraction, highest contraction. Are we not sitting on a volcano? Don't you think that you tell, I'm writing a book on world civilization. I think within a year or two it is coming back. I'm giving the comparison, how the civilizations flourished, how the civilization perished. We need to address that. These are all the concerns. In fact, the COVID-19 reversed poverty decline made 7.1 crore of people, according to the world population, at least 1/3 from India, according to World Bank, number of global poor increased by 7.1 crore in 2020. To that extent, we added the chart of the poorest people in the world. The same thing with gender inequality, which I have already addressed. And that has increased manifold during the COVID period. John Galtung, a recognized Norwegian scholar and researcher, defined two aspects of peace. Negative peace means that there is no war, no violent conflict between states or within states. Positive peace means no war or violent conflict combined with a situation where there is equity, justice, and development. The absence of war by itself does not guarantee that people do not suffer psychological violence. Within war also, without war also, there can be violence. And there can be disturbance to peace. And these are the questions which you have to address day by day, minute by minute. When you look at the World Happiness Report, I'm just telling you, our senior patron Karajia said about the peace, are you happy? You are not happy. Whether your family is happy, yes, family is happy. Whether institution is happy, yes, institution, but you are not happy. I'm telling you this very basic fact. Came out World Happiness Report, which is brought out every year to year. This year, United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, they bring out the report. Even last report was 22. These are the two key factors which they consider while preparing a report. One, happiness or life evaluation measured through opinion surveys. Number two, identifying key elements that determine well-being and life evaluation across countries. These are all the surveys made. It is disturbing to note that India stands 136th position in the United Nations World Happiness Report for the year 2022, which ranked 146 countries. Finland has topped in the World Happiness Report for the 5th continuous year. Afghanistan has been ranked as the unhappiest country in the world at 146th position. India is not happier. It is only 136th position. We are within 10 of the most unhappy country. with all the acharyas born here, all saints born here, people, the saints like Dhaneshwar has born. And we provide all the great epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavata, Veda, Upanishad. With all that, what is your charge today? Most unhappy country. We need to understand, when there is no happiness, there is no peace. When there is no peace within yourself or around you, there is no peace of the world over. We need to address these basic questions today. Concept closely related to peace and violence is human security, which recognizes the interrelation between violence and deprivation of the kinds. We need to, these conflicts will have to be. In fact, as the chairman of the Second Administrative Reforms Commission from 2004 to 2009, I brought out 15 reports which includes combating terrorism, conflict resolution, and many such bigger issues. We need to address all of them. There are study available, survey available. And in a drought, P. Sainath, a great, see, drought brings happiness. Whom? Bureaucrats, politicians. Because that brings a lot of easy money. But not to the people. And in fact, the government, machinery, NGOs, multilateral agencies, the media, contractors, so-called intellectuals, etc., thrives on the carcass of poor. When drought happens, we need to address them. Here I quote Mahatma Gandhi. The economic constitution of India, and for matter, that of the world, should be such that no one under it should suffer from want of food and clothing. I am quoting Mahatma Gandhi. Just as all have, or should have equal right to air or water, their monopolization by any country, nation, or group of persons would be totally unjust. This is what Mahatma Gandhi told. I need to address. One of the earliest proponents of the concept was British legal professor Jeremy Bentham about this happiness, who in his 1789 plan for a universal perpetual peace, Jeremy Bentham has said, you must go through those books, proposed a plan of general and permanent pacification for all Europe, with the troop reductions, especially in naval forces, and a common court of judicature to resolve differences between nations, albeit without coercive powers. Unless, undoubtedly, the strongest version of world peace through law is that of the world federalists, whose basic argument is that there are only two ways to resolve conflict. One is by war or by law. These are all the two methods which are available, and there are, by war, definitely not. It was suggested that law should be chosen, and by law, world federalists mean law that is the only kind worth having, enforceable law, enforceable upon individuals, world law created by a global legislature, enforced by global courts, global police, unlike the inadequate currently existing international law and the weak system of UN-based collective insecurity that we now have. I think your conclave, which you are going to hold in June, will have to address all these questions. Currently, international law and institutions are getting weak and weaker day by day. We need to strengthen it. But if the domestic law cannot guard yourself, how can the federal law, international law can guard your thing? Austin said, defining law as a sovereign's command, enforced by sanctions, positivists have argued that international law cannot qualify as law since it lacks anything by way of sovereign legislature of sanctions. In the case of environment law, this is a very crucial question today. There seems to be a climate injustice everywhere. Developing countries account for more than half of the annual emissions and most emissions growth. Can you enforce law on them? Particular emission law? If you don't address to these big nations, richer nations, the poorer nations will suffer. They cannot affordably access Many of the new technologies of decarbonize quickly. The result is a shrinking of their policy, space, and human rights, endangering efforts to achieve comparable levels of well-being with those who developed earlier without any constraints. There seems to be a concerted effort world over to change the basic structure for the climate treatises, fraud in public law. Insofar as the environment law is a deliberate attempt to avoid provisions of the statute, equitable, sustainable development, not even discussed in the world platforms. How do you address them? All these diseases and the sufferings which you find around is because we are not taking care of the climate. In fact, international peace, justice to peace remains inevitably fraught as both susceptible to political trends, even in a world that is now equipped with international criminal justice institutions. The management of peace still tends to fall back on well-tried political approaches, and ultimately international peace will be a mirage. It's a serious thinking we'll have to go in. It's a mankind's issue. Non-aligned movement, NAM, it was a very effective body. In fact, many of these, all those neutral countries joined together. It's a common thinking. Now we have a new one, G20, but all admixture is there. Good, bad. All countries are put together, we make I don't think, I think that NAM concept will have to be revived. South Africa, the central purpose of commission was to promote a reconciliation, There was a law in South Africa, immediately they got independence, To bring peace about within the country, they provided this commission for reconciliation. That worked very well. For any of the conflicts within the states, within the mankind, I think some such commissions will have to be necessary for the mankind to take care of these things. It is very fortunate that Indian Constitution is a very unique constitution, which was headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And there is provision. I don't think any other constitution in the world have a provision for this. Indian Constitution, there is a provision for international peace and security. Here, referred to the Article 51 of the Indian Constitution under the directive principles of state policy, talks about promotion of international peace and security. This is the only constitution we have. This is the philosophy what Swami Vivekananda. Article 51 of the Constitution requires the state to endeavor, first of all, promote international peace and security. Secondly, to maintain just and honorable relation with other states. Thirdly, foster respect for international law and treaty obligation in dealing of organized peoples with one another. You go through it. Let our legislators, administrators go through this international, provision of our Article 51 of the Indian Constitution. Fourthly, to encourage settlement of international dispute by arbitration. No other constitution in the world have incorporated these principles on world peace. And let us make more debate on this. Our constitutional provisions to bring about world peace. We need to propagate it. Freedom of religion is protected with the state keeps away from the matters of faith. State should keep away from the matters of faith. Social hostilities index. I'm referring to another report, world report on the social hostilities index. Pew Research Center, India, has ranked India first in social hostilities index. We are number one in that. You would like to be number one in all bad things. This is yet another thing, where we are, bad in that, which measures acts of religious hostility by private individuals, organizations, or groups in society. The higher the rank, higher the hostility. We are higher in the rank, so that is why in India, higher the hostility. When there is a higher the hostility, where will be the peace? Peace will become a casualty, ultimately. India ranked relatively low, 33 out of 198 countries. In the government restrictions, index which measures government laws and policies and actions that restrict religious beliefs and practices, the higher the rank, the higher the restrictions. We need to address all these things. These are all the issues which all of you students, faculty, students, in all law colleges should discuss. These are the basics of law. These are the basics of establishing peace in the world and ensuring law and justice. Without studying this and understanding this, where is the question, merely arguing the case before the justice like Jnanasudha will not take you anywhere. Unless you address them. This right to freedom of peaceful assembly is central to any democracy, including Indian democracy. Despite constitutional protections at national level, the devolution of specific policing powers, lawmaking to the states has created a web of regulations that dilute protection of free assembly. We need to, we need to safeguard the certain tenets of basic democracy. Despite some protective laws and jurisprudence around assembly, there is a disturbing trend of growing intolerance towards democratic processes and social movements. Oftentimes, inconvenience to everyday life caused by peaceful public protests receives greater attention than the protection and promotion of rights of concerns of disadvantaged and marginalized groups. There is a mutual relationship between democracy and development and peace and security. It is all mutually, in the absence of peace and security, democracy cannot function, development cannot take place. It is necessary to have peace for holding of elections. I think in your next conference you need to discuss about how to hold this election. Ultimately, it is not the cash and caste which should dominate the elections or democratic process. All of us together prevent such abuse of democracy. Maybe in the name of elections, there may be democratically elected governments, but ultimately these democratic institutions will be totally abused. No development activity is possible if there is disturbance and violence of war. Active rule of law that exists on paper does not always exist in practice. We need to ensure that the rule of law, the principles, the governance principle will have to be applied in practice in the democracy. So, we need to address all these things. This is my request. And ultimately, the world, our nation, stand by the peace. This is our commitment to the nation. This is our commitment to the Constitution of India. G20, which is now done in its year of our Indian chairmanship under Narendra Modi, needs to promote a Gandhian approach of using solutions that depend upon local systems to help the world get out of the world, the present scenario of conflicts. We need to address all of them. I like to quote ultimately Rabindranath Tagore. He said, "Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake." This is what we need to culture, this kind of a culture we need to attain in this country. Then only we can attain the peace and tranquility on the basis of law. I ultimately quote Mahatma Gandhi, in inverted commas, "Peace cannot be built on exclusivism, absolutism, and intolerance. But neither can it be built on vague liberal slogans and pious programs gestated in the smoke of confabulations. There can be no peace on earth without the kind of inner change that brings man back to his right mind." Unquote. And it's a great thing that you are under the platform of this great institution, which is run under the great stewardship of a visionary like Karatji has brought about this to the world platform through this great institution. It needs to be perpetuated, to be propagated. All of you students and faculties of this university should be the ambassadors of law and peace, not only in this country, all over the world. And this change will have to take place in the minds of everyone, and through your mind, it has to spread to the national mind and the international mind. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity given to me.
Thank you very much, Dr. M. Veerappa Moily. Thank you very much. Let's rise in our seats and give a big round of applause to Dr. M. Veerappa Moily for his enlightening address.
That's fine. Okay.
Thank you very much. I request everyone to be seated as we are concluding this session. I request everyone to be seated. My friends, the role of judiciary in good governance is extremely important. As I was sharing with you the quotations of late Justice Y.K. Sabharwalji, the Chief Justice of India, it has been decades that we have inherited a well-entrenched system of judicial administration besides elaborate and confined the procedural law from Britishers. These laws had generally stood the test of time. Therefore, we adopted them with suitable corrections wherever required. And now, I would like to quote Executive President Shri Rahul V. Karat sir. Unfortunately, we still address the 15th of August as our Independence Day. Who were the Britishers to give us the independence? Are we the cats and dogs who somebody liberates us and comes to us and says, okay, now you are independent? Why we still call our country as India when we have a beautiful, meaningful name as Bharat? Can there be from this platform a magnanimous nationwide legal movement which dream he has seen through the concept of breaking the colonial mindset? Probably this platform will stand as a catalyst to take the thought of Sri Rahul Karat forward. Let's give a big round of applause to all the dignitaries for participating in this inaugural session of Second International Symposium on Law and Peace. With this, my friends, we have reached the end of inaugural session. Let me quickly remind you, well, I can understand your emotions. We are also human beings. We are also hungry. So don't worry. We understand your emotions. But please respect the dignity and decorum of our university. This is your own university. So please note that the next technical session, the first technical session of the symposium, will start at 2 p.m. sharp on the socio-legal and cultural issues in the contemporary India. Please note, I would also like to request, sure, the next session on socio-legal and cultural issues in contemporary India would start at 2:30 p.m. sharp. So, yeah, little extra time for having food. Well, sometimes it is good to do dietary upwas, but have a food of thoughts. But at 2:30 p.m. we'll meet again after you have your lunch. So let us rise in our seats for national anthem and conclude this inaugural session. But let me remind you, may I have your attention, please? Let me quickly remind you that we all are going to meet at the after this session immediately at the St. Ganeshwara Hall at the Ganeshwara statue to have a beautiful photograph with all these luminaries on this session. So I request, after we have the national anthem, let us all gather at the staircase of St. Ganeshwara Hall, and then you may proceed for your lunch. National anthem, please.
Jana Mana Adhinayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I request all the dignitaries to please be there for a moment. We will quickly capture a group photograph. I request all the dignitaries. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All the student leaders, all the students, please assemble at the St. Ganeshwara Hall and let us gather here at 2:30 p.m. sharp for the session on socio-legal and cultural issues in contemporary India. Thank you very much.